Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father, and Yahusha our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal. Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to ask this question. Who is God? And this is part 4. Let me ask another question. How many of you have checked the margin in the KJV to see whether God or Mene is there? How many of you have read from Genesis chapter 1 straight through to Genesis chapter 6 and gone line by line and check the H numbers that are connected to God, to the Elohim, and to Yahuwah, one by one? How many of you have done that? If you haven't done that, you're not following instructions. Did you know that no one really knows anything about this? This is a new discovery. Some people have heard of God real, God Ra'el in the book, but there's no academic studies on it. God is in your book so many times. Isn't that a big question that you should be asking yourself? Who is he? And this is why we're going through this series. Just from asking this question, our Father has given us the answer. And he is using us, Brother O'Neill and myself, and whoever else wants to join into this academic study to unveil the serpent. Look at this image. Does that look familiar? This is in Indonesia, and it's also in India. His name is Garuda. Why is this image on every continent and worshipped and glorified by the people? Let's see. India, Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Americas. Now, I've made the claim that this is the image of the serpent. This is the image of God Ra'el. How can you check on that to see whether Brother David is giving you the correct image? The Europeans told you that Satan, the dragon, Lucifer, all of the names that they have ascribed to him, the devil, that he has a red suit with a pitchfork and a tail and horns on his head. We believed him. We accepted that image without any academic study. Correct. I'm giving you an image and also an academic study to follow. Now, in this segment, I'm going to show you why I chose this image as the image of the serpent, the dragon, Satan, Lucifer, and here's his real name, God Ra'el. Let's begin. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord. H136. Okay, we know that the Lord is a replacement. We know that H3068 is Yahuwah. Who is H136? It is Adonai. Adonai is the Lord. It is also a term that they use for Baal, owner, and ruler. We do not use those terms. That is for the Jews. The Jews have replaced our Father's name with Adonai in the book, the Lord. They say that the name is too sacred for you to utter. So therefore they took it out and they used the word Adonai. Do we use that word Adonai? If you said no, you are right. There is power in the name. There is deliverance in the name. There is salvation in the name. Why would I call upon Adonai? Let's continue. I also saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Verse 2. And above it stood the seraphims. Above what? Above the throne. See the word seraphims? H8314. Look at the description. Each one had 6 wings. With twain, with 2, he covered his face. And with 2, he covered his feet. And with 2, he did fly. So he used all 6 while he was at the throne. Verse 3. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord, H3068, which means Yahuwah of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Verse 4. Look at what happened. As the seraphim cried one to another. Look at the power. And the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. When Isaiah saw this, he says, Woe is me, I am undone, I am afraid. Is this the end of my life? I've never seen anything like this before. Now I want you to read the rest. What I'm trying to show you is everything that we have on seraphim. Let's look up the word. Strong's H8314. The word is seraph. Come down to the bottom. The KJV translates H314 in the following manner. Fiery serpent, 3 times. Fiery, 2 times. Seraphim, 2 times. Altogether, 7 times in total in the book. Outline of biblical usage. Serpent. Fiery serpent. Poisonous serpent. Fiery from burning effect of poison. Seraph, singular. Seraphim, plural. Majestic beings with 6 wings. Human hands or voices in attendance upon, not God, Yahuwah. Strong's definitions. The word is seraph. They give you the phonetic pronunciation, the phonetic spelling, S-A-W-R-A-W-F, seraph. They're telling you how to pronounce it in English. Let's transliterate it for ourselves. The first letter, Hebrew reads from right to left. The first letter is a shin. How is it pronounced? Sh. 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 All right, let's add our vowel afterwards, which would be an ah sound, and we have sha. The second letter is a resh. How is it pronounced? R. R. And the last letter is a pe. How is it pronounced? Pe. Pe. We put our vowel in between the rash and the pe, which is an ah sound, and we have what? Rap. Let's put it all together. We have sha rap. From H8313, burning, i.e., figuratively, poisonous serpent. Specifically, a seraph was a symbolic creature from their copper color, fiery serpent, seraph. Where did they get this fiery color from? Is it because they're looking in the flames? Or did they look on the walls in Ecuador? This is the Anunnaki in Ecuador. They present him here with 4 wings. But look at his skin. His skin color, it's like copper, isn't it? It's like amber. If you put it in the fire and you look into the flame, the fire has an amber color. Who else has this tone? Yasharal. We look like this also when we are in the sun. So it's not red as in rojo or the red that you have in your crayon box. This is the color. Just like us. Red horse, red heifer, ruddy, all of those pertain to a copper color. Okay, let's jump to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, H1966, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations, who was cast to the earth with great wrath against the children of men? Verse 13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. H410. Okay, so what is H410? H430 is the Elohim. H410 is El. What are the letters? Aleph, Lamed. The Aleph means mighty. So what this passage is trying to convey to you is that Satan, or Lucifer, he said he was going to place his throne above the throne of the mighty one. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. H7585, the word is Sheol, to the sides of the pit. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee. Have you ever looked at someone you didn't want them to see you looking, so you kind of look sideways at them, and then when they turn around, you turn your eyes back? That's what it's speaking of. Saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the nations? Strong's, H1966, the word is Hallel. Look at the pronunciation. Ha-Lol. Halal means to praise. Halal Yah. Hallelujah. Halal Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Look at the root word etymology from Ha-Lol in the sense of brightness. Come down to the bottom. The KJV translates Strong's H1966 in the following manner. Lucifer. Lucifer is in this book only one time. Outline of biblical usage. Lucifer, light bearer, the shining one, morning star. Lucifer, of the king of Babylon and Satan. Hallel, describing the king of Babylon. Strong's definitions. The word is Haylel. You see the phonetic pronunciation? Haylale, 2 syllables. I get 3. Let's see how I arrived at 3 syllables. The first letter is a Hey. How is it pronounced? Ha. So you put your vowel after the ha. You look up top. You have H-A. First syllable. The second letter is a Yod. How is it pronounced? Ya. Put your vowel after the Yod, and you have Ya. The third letter is a Lamed. How is it pronounced? La. The fourth letter is a Lamed. How is it pronounced? La. Put your vowel in between, which is an Ah, and what do you have? Haya Law. From H1984 in the sense of brightness. The morning star. Lucifer. All right, so we know that Lucifer is only in the book one time. We know that this title of being the morning star and the shining one is attributed to Satan and the king of Babylon. But it's someplace else also, brothers and sisters, that most people did not see. In Revelation chapter 22, verse 16, look who takes this title for himself. I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. We're not talking about Yahusha here. We're talking about Jesus, who was created in the Roman Catholic Church. He sent his angel to testify these things in the church, not amongst the congregation of Israelites or Yesharalites. Listen what he's going to say. I am the root and the offspring of David. In order to have legitimacy, Jesus has to come through the line of Yahudah. But look what he's going to say next. And the bright and morning star. That title is attributed to one person, Lucifer. It was a taunt. Anyone who claims this title for himself has fallen under the same name as Lucifer. Hayalel. Okay, look at this. Online etymology dictionary, and the word or the name is Lucifer. Old English, Lucifer. Look what Lucifer pertains to. Satan. What else does it pertain to? The morning star. So Lucifer is not really in Hebrew. This is, what, Old English, they say here, from your KJV? But really the name is Hayalel, the shining one, which pertains to Satan, which his other title is the morning star, which was a taunt from Yahuwah. So who else is called the morning star? Jesus. I'm telling you who he is. Check out Erasmus. When Erasmus was translating the text, he only had fragments. So he improvised. He used the Latin Vulgate. And he added some things. And he told us that I, Jesus, have sent my angels. Remember, Jesus is God. That's what they'll tell you in the church. Jesus is God. We know who God is. God is God Ra-El, who is Satan. He also uses the same title, Morning Star. Check it out, brothers and sisters. You will see that Revelation chapter 22, verse 16 to verse 21 is all a fraud. Venus in the morning sky before sunrise. Also an epithet or name of Diana. Okay? From Latin. All right, so now we know the origin of this name Lucifer. It's from Latin. And in Latin, Lucifer means morning star. Noun, use of adjective, literally light bringing. Why are they saying light bringing? Because remember, one of the seraphim took the coal off the altar, brought it to Isaiah, placed it on his lips, and he was cleansed. Noun, use of adjective, literally light bringing, from lux. Genitive, lucis, light, from pi root, luke. See, the word luke means light, brightness, plus fair. Luke, fair. Lucifer, to carry. Bear, from pi root, bear, one, to carry, also to bear children. Venus in the evening sky is Hesperus. So we know who Jesus is. Jesus is Satan. Jesus is also God. Listen to what we were doing all these years. If you came from the church like me, you were worshiping Satan. We sung beautiful hymns and love songs to the morning star. Let's drop down to verse 29, because there's something very important I have to show you here. Did you know that Isaiah chapter 14 is an end-time prophecy? In verse 1, he states that Yahuwah will yet choose Yasharal. He's not choosing anyone else. He's choosing us. And he's going to place them in their own land. And they will dwell safely. Then he starts to tell you about Satan and his demise and how he'll be destroyed. And then we come to verse 29, and he reveals this. Rejoice not, thou whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. Okay, where's Palestine? It's in Canaan. Why is Isaiah speaking to, in his time, they would have been called the Philistines? Why is he speaking to the Philistines? Well, he's not speaking to the Philistines. He's speaking to those who will inhabit the land in these last days. And today they're called Palestine. Now, why is he saying, don't you rejoice, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken? Well, under King David, he smote the Philistines. Remember, he killed Goliath? They had him on the run. They took over their land. He's telling them, don't you rejoice, because the children of Yasharal have been evicted. We've been evicted, brothers and sisters. Our rod is broken. They've taken over the land. All of the inhabitants then, when we were evicted, rejoiced. For out of the serpent's root means DNA. Do you understand this? Shall come forth a cockatrice, H6848. This cockatrice means an adder. And his fruit shall be a fiery, flying serpent. So this adder, or this cockatrice, is going to bite the people in Palestine. Okay, I'm going to ask some questions. I have to be very careful of this, because Isaiah is revealing something to us. So I'm just going to ask questions, and you answer the questions yourself. Who's taking over the land of Palestine? Who's afflicting the people of Palestine? Who's starving them out? Who is annexing their land? Did Isaiah just point out to us who the serpent's root is? It makes sense. In Revelation, it tells you they called themselves Yahuda, but they are not. But they are of the church of Satan. KJV translation count. Look how many times it's in the Bible. This word cockatrice, 4 times. Adder, 1 time. Outline of biblical usage, poisonous, serpent. A viper, snake, or adder. Strong's definitions, the word is tsepa. The only thing I wouldn't have here is an H, but pretty much they're correct. From an unused root meaning to extrude, a viper, as thrusting out the tongue, i.e. hissing, adder, cockatrice. So you know when they start to hiss, they're going to bite, which means you get out of the way. What did Yahusha tell the scribes and the Pharisees who they were? He said that you are of a brood of vipers. A brood is a litter. He said you're of your father who is the devil. Why weren't we listening to what he was saying? You see, everyone who was on the Sanhedrin were not Yasharal. Most of them were chosen by the Romans. The ones who were Yasharal were collaborators. So Yahusha pointed out exactly who they were. Okay, so in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 29, he said, out of the serpent's root. That means DNA. That means his people, brothers and sisters, that they would afflict the people of Palestine in this time right before the gathering. Ezekiel chapter 28. Let's see what the prophet Ezekiel has to say about these so-called seraphs and seraphim. Verse 12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, H136. We know the Lord is a replacement for Yahuwah's name, but Yahuwah's name is H3068. So who is H136? We know that H430 is the Elohim. We know that H410 is El. So who is H136? Adonai. Then after that they have God. Capital G, capital O, capital D. Look at the number. H3069. Yahuwah's number is H3068. Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Verse 13. Pay attention to this. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. H430. That's the Elohim. Let's read that again. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of the Elohim. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardis, the topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold, the workmanship of thy tabrets, and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Hey, Satan was in the garden before Adam. All of a sudden, here comes Yahuwah and his Elohim. And they created man in their image. Not in the image of the seraphim, but in the image of the Elohim. And the Elohim was created in the image of Yahuwah, not the seraphim or any of those things. We're talking different creatures, brothers and sisters. This is where we made our mistake. We put them all in one, right? But there are different creatures. Could this be the reason why Satan rebelled against Yahuwah? Because he created Adam and gave him dominion over the earth, which means that Adam would have had dominion over Satan. But remember, Satan was the bright one. He thought he was the morning star. He was the best thing since sliced bread. Verse 14. Look at what they're going to call him. Thou art the anointed cherub, H3742, that covereth. Hold it 1 second. Here he is called a cherub. Before he was called a seraph. All right. But it matches the description because the seraphim cried, Holy, holy, holy is Yahuwah Almighty, which was and is to come. With 2 wings he flew. 2 wings he covered his face. 2 wings he covered his feet. And I have set thee so, that thou was upon the holy mountain of God, H430. Let's read it again. And I have set thee so, thou was upon the holy mountain of the Elohim. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. So it's describing the same person that Isaiah saw in chapter 14, correct? Remember, he took one of the coals off the fire and placed it on Isaiah's lips, and he was cleansed. First, let's look at this number, H3069, that they have after God. Strong's, H3069. What is the name? Yehovah. Yehovah. Look at the Hebrew script there. That's Yad-Heh-Wah-Heh. That's Yahuwah. Where did this Yehovah come from? Okay, let me ask the question. For all of you up-and-coming Hebrew scholars, is there a V in Hebrew? The answer is no. Listen, is there a Yeh in Yah? Yeh? Hello? Yeh? Hallelujah? Or is it hallelujah? Brother David, then what is this? This is Yiddish. What is Yiddish, Brother David? It's a German dialect. Hey, Brother David, who speaks Yiddish? The Jews. So now you see who has the influence in our book. Look at root word etymology. Pay very close attention, brothers and sisters. They're going to tell you something here. Yehovah is a variation of Yad-Heh-Wah-Heh, H3068. Hey, H3068, that is Yahuwah. So Yehovah is a variation of the name. They did not just tell you that here. Okay, let's see what else they're going to say. Used after Adonai, H136, and pronounced by Jews, now you see who's doing this, as Elohim, H430. These are all variations. Listen to me. These are all variations. Here's my question for you. Is there salvation in a variation? I'll let you ponder upon that. What does the scripture say? There's only one name under the sun given amongst men that you can be saved by. And that name is H3068, and it is Yahuwah. Did it say anything about a variation? Here's another one. Those who call upon the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. So is there salvation in a variation? Brother David, Why did they do this? Well, they say that the name H3068, what is it? Yahuwah, is too sacred for you to utter. So we give you variations. Look what else they're going to say. Why they have done this. In order to prevent the repetition of the same sound. Hold it. We're intelligent now. We can read, can't we? You're not talking about the same sound. You're talking about to prevent the repetition of the same name. H3068. Because they gave you variations of the name Yahuwah, H3068. So they don't want you repeating that name. It's too sacred for you. When they read the book, they say Hashem. And when the name comes up in other places, they say Adonai or Elohim. See where all of that stuff came from? Let's continue to read. Since they elsewhere pronounce H3068, Yahuwah, as Adonai H136. I mean, Yahuwah, Adonai, do they sound the same? So they have replaced the name of Yahuwah with Adonai. Adonai means the Lord. The Lord equals Baal. Adonai equals Baal. It means owner and ruler. Do you understand what we're reading here? In Jeremiah 23, Jeremiah stated that they have replaced Yahuwah's name with Baal. You see it in action right here, right? Come down to the bottom. The KJV translates Strong's H3069 in the following manner. Capital G, capital O, capital D, 304 times, Lord, 1 time. I don't think you're understanding what we're reading here, right? H3069 has been translated in your book, in the KJV, is God, not Yehovah. Let's look at what they're saying. It's God. Oh, hold it 1 second. Look back up at root word etymology. Do you see any H number for a Gam and a Dalet? That's Hebrew. Because Gam and Dalet, with a vowel in between, your ah sound, you have God. Do you see any H number there for it? So they gave you all of these variations, but they're not using them. When they translate it in your book, they put it as God, capital G, capital O, capital D, 304 times. I don't know how your mind works, but my mind works like this. I see something. If the name Yahuwah is too sacred for you to utter, that they have to give you variations of the name. Adonai, Elohim, God, Jehovah, Yehovah, Jesus, Christ. Do you know what they're telling you? Every name that they've given you is not sacred at all. They're all replacements or variations. They're telling you right here, brothers and sisters. Replace. 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 Why do they keep doing this? Because once you start calling on the name of your Father, their time is up, and they know it. Verse 15, let's return to Satan. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou was created, till iniquity was found in thee. Verse 16, by the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast transgressed the laws. Therefore, I will cast thee as profane out of the mount of God, H430, out of the mount of the Elohim, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub. So he was a covering cherub. Listen now. What did Isaiah say about him? With 2 wings he flew. 2 wings he covered his face. 2 wings he covered his feet. And Isaiah called him a seraph. But here in Ezekiel is saying that he is a covering cherub. And he was in the midst of the stones of fire. We know that to be true. He took one of the stones of coal out of the fire and put it on the lips of Isaiah and cleansed his tongue. Verse 17, thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty, not beauty, splendor. Beauty is feminine. Because of his splendor, thou hast corrupted thy wisdom. Remember, he was the bright one. By reason of thy brightness. Because of that, I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Strong's, H3742. The word is Karub. Transliteration, Karub. Pronunciation, Karuv. Remember whose influence is here. There's no V in Hebrew. Look at root word etymology. They don't know. They don't have a clue. KJV translates Strong's H3742 in the following manner. Cherubims, plural, 64 times. Cherub, singular, 27 times. Outline of biblical usage. Cherub, singular. Cherubim, plural. An angelic being. As guardians of Eden. As flanking Yah's throne. As an image form hovering over the Ark of the Covenant. As the chariot of Yahuwah, not Jehovah. As the chariot of Yahuwah. Did you guys know that the cherubim were Yahuwah's chauffeurs? They are the ones who steered and drove the chariots of fire. Strong's definitions. Look at the word. Karub. I wouldn't change anything except for the E after the K and put Karub. Of uncertain derivation. They don't know where it comes from. A cherub, or an imaginary figure. So because they don't know where it comes from, they say it's imaginary. Cherub, singular, plural, cherubims. Okay, brothers and sisters. Isaiah said that Satan was a seraph, one of the seraphim. Here he puts him as a cherub, one of the cherubim. Verse 18, you have defiled your sanctuaries, O anointed seraph, cherub, by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, and it shall devour thee. Let me stop for a moment. This fire is called enmity. Enmity equals hate. Hate will eat you up from the inside out. Have you noticed that there's a people today that are being destroyed from the inside out? They have a fire in them. This fire is devouring them. They're making bad decisions. They're ruling over us in the land. The same way that Yahuwah has put this fire in the midst of the anointed cherub or seraph, he's done it to the Europeans. And this fire will bring them to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. Verse 19. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. The same way that people are astonished at our situation here in Americas and around the world, they shall also be astonished at Satan when he finally destroys him. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Remember, Isaiah chapter 14, Ezekiel chapter 28, these are end-time prophecies. It also mentions Zidon. Zidon is Palestina, brothers and sisters, and it gives you the same prophecy as Isaiah. Look at this. Online etymology dictionary, and the word is cherub. Late 14th century, as an order of angels. What it means by an order of angels is different types mixed together. From late Latin, cherub. So you see where cherub comes from. From Greek, cherub. From Hebrew, cherub. Plural, cherubim. Winged angel, which according to Klein is perhaps related to Akkadian caribou, to bless. Caribou, one who blesses. An epithet of the bull Colossus. Old English had cherubim, from the Greek plural, but there are other theories. But look what it says here. As an order of angels. And here is your order of angels. Cherub. Cherubim. I'm just using what they have in our book. Let's see what it means. See, cherub is singular, cherubim is plural. We know that. One who draws near. Those who draw near. One who blesses. Those who bless. One who covers. Those who cover. One with access to the throne. Those with access to the throne. If you want to read about this group of angels, as they call it, or cherubim, Read Ezekiel chapter 1. Ezekiel saw them come down in a chariot of fire. He called it the wheel in the middle of the wheel. It was something he's never seen before. It was hard to describe because he had no reference to anything like that before. But he tried his best to describe these living creatures that came out of this spacecraft. Look at the image. In the book, in our translation, it makes it seem as though there was one person with 4 different heads. Not so. Each one was separate. They were a group of cherubims. That means, a group of angelic beings, as they call it. One of them had the face of a bull. In Ezekiel, he said they had 4 wings. One had the face of a bull. One had the face of a man. One had the face of a lion. And the other one had the face of an eagle. Do you see the eagle image sticking out from the back there? Let me ask you a question. Where have we seen that image before? Is not this an exact representation of the image that you saw in Sumer, in Ecuador, and around the world, in India? Look at it. They were all cherubim. It was a group of angels. Each had 4 wings. When you saw the image of the one that I called God Ra'el on the walls in Mesopotamia, didn't we see him as having 4 wings? Ezekiel is describing exactly what he saw when they came out of the ship. Let's continue. Revelation chapter 4, verse 6. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. Verse 7. And the first beast was like a lion. Do you see that it says 4? It's not one represented with 4 heads, but 4 separate creatures, 4 separate beasts. They use the word beast, but it's living creatures. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. Do you see that? All right, you have 2 witnesses here. Really 3. You have Isaiah, you have Ezekiel, now we have Johannathan, John, the book of Revelation. These same 4 beasts are present in Ezekiel chapter 1 and in Revelation chapter 4, verse 8. Listen. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him. Let's stop for a minute. In Ezekiel, when you read it, you're going to find that he says that the 4 beasts in which he saw coming out of these spacecrafts had 4 wings. The same way as God Ra'el is represented on the walls in Sumer, you saw 4 wings. Okay. John, Johannathan, is right now in the heavenly realms. He's having a view of the throne room. He's watching these beasts in action around the throne. Look what he's seeing and hearing. And they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, holy, holy is Yahuwah Almighty, which was and is to come. Where have we heard that before? In Isaiah chapter 6, he says that the seraphim had 6 wings, and they were above the throne, and they were crying one to another, Holy, holy, holy is Yahuwah, the supreme power of the Elohim, which was and is to come. But yet, in the book of Ezekiel only seen them with 4 wings. What is the difference? Isaiah's revelation was in the throne room. Worship was going forward. Yehonathan's vision was in the throne room. Worship was going forward. They were in action. They were flying at this time. But Ezekiel just saw them coming out of the ship. They were not before the throne, so there was no need for them to be in this worship mode. Are you with me? So what Ezekiel saw was the same thing that we saw about God Ra'el with those 4 wings on the walls in Sumer. That's why he said 4. But Yehonathan saw them in action. Isaiah saw them in action. Because 2 of the wings that were hidden covered the face. 2, they flew. 2, they covered their feet. This is why he is called the anointed cherub that covereth. He is called the seraph or the seraph that covers. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? This is why I've been missing for a little while. I had to get to the bottom of this mystery. And the only reason that I had to go through all of this to get to the bottom of this mystery is because the people who have translated and transliterated the text made a mockery out of the word of the Most High. Verse 9. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever, you had the 24 elders who would take off their crowns and throw them in and bow before Yahuwah. For thou art worthy to receive glory, power, and honor. So brothers and sisters, introducing to you the anointed cherub that covers. Introducing to you the anointed cherub that covers. Why did I choose this image? It's a process of elimination. One, this image, first of all, is all around the world. It's prominent. You have the image of the man with 4 wings, the lion with 4 wings, and the bull with 4 wings. So you see these cherubs, and these seraphs, cherubim, were worshipped and glorified all around the planet. Didn't Shaul tell us not to be worshiping these angels? But this is what the church is all about. They're worshiping angels. Now, out of the four creatures, the four cherubs that came out of the chariot of fire, out of the spacecraft, they were described, weren't they? They all had four wings. One had the face of a bull. One had the face of a man. One had the face of a lion. One had the face of a eagle. Out of those four, which one would you say is more like the serpent? If you said this eagle-looking creature, because it said like an eagle, that he wasn't an eagle, he looked like an eagle. It's the only way that Ezekiel could have described him. He is the only one who could be a serpent. The paleontologists have discovered that birds that we have modern day are related to reptiles. See how much we don't know? So if you're looking for the image of this God Ra-El, Lucifer, Satan, the devil, it's not a guy in a red suit. I've shown you academically the process of elimination in order to come to the truth. Look on his muscle. See right there on his muscle there? The arm that is holding the bag. What is that bracelet or musclelet that's around his arm? Doesn't it look like two serpents coming head to head? Does that tell you something? Here's a good question for you, all of you biblical students. Because if you really study and you're looking for the truth like I am all the time, you will ask a lot of questions. What strategy did he use to cause 1/3 of the watchers to go in rebellion with him against Yahuwah? Could it be that they were in the garden first? And then Yahuwah creates man in his image, and then gave him dominion over the earth, which they were responsible for creating. Were they jealous because of that? I gravitate towards the woman, because I've searched through history to find if there was ever a woman angel, as they called them. I've not found any. All of them were masculine. Then I searched to find if there was a woman created for them. I found no text that made that statement. The only thing I found that it's prohibited for them to mix with women. Could they have been jealous that there was a helper formed for us, but not for them? Well, look at the evidence. They came down from heaven. They were serving Yahuwah. Some of them were privy to the throne, the seraphim and the cherubim. They were in the throne room. And they saw these daughters of men, the seraphs, the cherubs, the angels, the Elohim, and they chose wives. And they transgressed the laws of Yahuwah and were cast to the earth for an eternity. I think it's the woman. Well, whichever one it was, he came down to the earth with great wrath and fury against the children of men because he lost his place in the heavenly realms. We now know who God is. And his name is God Ra-El. We found him in the book of Tanakh, chapter 69. We also found out that God is in our book so many times it will make your head spin. But yet there's no Hebrew number for it. There's no H number for a Gam and a Dalet for all of those places where they have put this name, God. So why did they put it there? Because it relates to the person whom they serve. They are not supposed to give you the correct information or the correct pronunciation. This is for your discovery. This is why I'm trying to teach you how to discover all things. You can only do that if you do an academic breakdown of everything that you read. They weren't expecting you to do this. But in the last days, Yah has poured out his spirit amongst his people. And on this channel, we have come together to make this great discovery. The serpent is not a guy in a red suit with horns and a pitchfork and a tail. He is described in the book. He looks like an eagle. Ezekiel said he had 4 wings. Isaiah said he had 6 wings when he was around the throne in worship mode. Yehonathan said he had 6 wings when he was behind the throne or above the throne in worship mode because he was flying. 2 wings he flew, 2 wings he covered his face, 2 wings he covered his feet. Because the glory of Yahuwah was so magnificent that they could not look upon him. Satan saw himself with the same magnificence of Yahuwah, just on a lower level. And because of this, because of the splendor of his countenance, because he shined like as Moses shined when he came down from the mount, iniquity was found in him. And he thought that he could be above Yahuwah. This is it. We're at our conclusion. Finally, I don't want to have to use that name, God Ra-El, anymore, but I must, because there's other things that are going to come up, and his name is going to come up. Brother O'Neill, I have to tell you again, you have been used by the Most High, whether you know it or not. You've been used by the Most High, and we have been in collaboration together to discover all of these things. Now you need to check everything I've set out. Make sure it is true. I've given you the tools to check on me. Use them. Shalom.